head someday. So satisfied I'm on my way. What is going on, everybody? Do 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 dee dum. I take it that nobody has been alerted yet that we have a live stream, but because it's one of these crazy live streams, one of these crazy live streams. Look at that. You can actually see it in this light. My hand says hi. Well, it's kind of backwards to you guys probably, right? But the letters H and I are right in my veins. I'm an outgoing guy in my genetic makeup, in my skin. It's only skin deep. How are we doing though? I guess that light is kind of making me really look red. Not helping my autoimmune issues. Um, just so we clear the air, yes, I have lupus, and I do have the butterfly rash, or the famous red rash you get when all your joints and everything are swollen. So that's why my face is extra puffy, and I'm kind of miserable and itchy and so forth. But that is beside the point. I am feeling good enough to be here, and I want to be here, obviously, and want to see what you guys are all up to. And yeah, hey, you visited the Discord, did you, Beto? I need to get more on the Discord. There's stuff going on the Discord, obviously. People post and things. But mostly I've kind of treated it as a place to put documents in the document section, and or ask for, like, if anybody has video of this or that, like, hey, share it on Discord. But I would love if people are more active on there, and I'm happy to give more roles to folks as admins, moderators, stuff like that, or control over your own section. If you are somebody who's into koi and you want to make a section in our page that's for that, or make a thread even. You could start it as a thread, and if it's popular, we can make a section, something like that. I'm super open to that, and I was talking about it the other day, and I'm torn, you guys. And hey, what's on? What's going on, guys? I see lots of familiar faces in here popping in. Roy, what's going on? Mike, Branton, what's up? Fish Dad, heavyweight champ. Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a minute. And also, obviously, Beto, Cassandra, hello. Connolly, hello. And Carson and House of Pisces. Good to see you. Just one more fish. And Zanduro, I like that. Is Kabamba an easy plant? So Kabamba is an easy plant if you don't have super hard water. If you have high pH over about 8.0, it becomes difficult. And if you have harder water than, say, 700 parts per million or 600 parts per million, it will oftentimes become very, very sparsely, like very leggy, and then turn to kind of this sickly yellow color and lose the density of its leaves, and then just kind of pass on to the next realm. So yeah, Franz Aquatics. What is going on? Franz is what I want to say always when I look at that name from afar. But how are we doing? Pisces, how are we doing? I'm getting some crebenses in a couple days. Maybe I can post about it on Discord. Yeah, I would love that. Also, if anybody is selling plants or fish or whatever, I don't know what the rules are on Discord, but like, you guys figure it out. DM each other, but feel free to be like, hey, look at these fish I got. If anyone's looking for them, DM me or whatever. I'll have to double check like the official rules, because I don't care if it was out in the open for that matter. In fact, I prefer things kind of being out in the open as long as it's not spammy and we have a section for it. And Steven, what's going on? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Right on. Longfin chocolate babies. You had a bunch of them. Cool. Plecos or let's see here. One of my Anubias has a few yellow leaves. A few yellow leaves. That could be a lot of things. Everybody always blames CC's Aqua Escapes, hello. And Thomas's Goldfish, hello. Yeah, I'll give your channel a shout out. Thomas's Goldfish. I don't know how Thomas's is abbreviated, like how you pluralize and pronoun, because it's like Thomas is capitalized, obviously. Thomas, is it Thomas? Thomas's has an apostrophe after just the word Thomas, or is it Thomas and then no S's, or is it Thomas's and you add ES, or is it Tom and then as you've done S apostrophe S? I don't know the rules of language anymore. You broke my brain, man. JP Jeffries, what's going on? Claire, what's going on? Cosmin, hello, come on within. You'll not see nothing since the mighty Quinn. You know that song, if you know it. It's a kind of weird song, and Bob Dylan is who wrote it, and it's actually about the the movie that had what's his name, Quinn in it, the actor. I'm totally spacing on his name now, but anyways, the famous actor, last name Quinn, from what 40s or 50s, and he portrays the main hero in the story of the like why the Iditarod happens, and like that story of Balto and the dog and the guy that saved all those people with what was it, diphtheria or scarlet fever or something in Alaska, and yeah, Anthony Quinn, thank you. Brain freeze, thank you. And yeah, oh, trying to get to 50 subscribers so you can do a live stream. Oh, trying to get 50 subscribers. Well, Thomas, I don't know a whole lot about goldfish. So while you're in here, spit some knowledge on some goldfish, or tell us what you're going to do in your stream, and maybe some folks will come over and check you out, and maybe they'll decide to subscribe. I don't know you personally, but I'm always here to uplift others and to spread good information. I don't know. Do you have good information? Give us some good information. Banana. Yeah, manna. Yeah, Anthony Quinn. Yeah, he was the actor, and for some reason, what's his name? Bob Dylan thought that was a cool like role. I don't know if is he. What's odd is like, so Quinn, the Eskimo, he's playing an Eskimo and an Inuit, and he's a white guy. But you know, back in the old days, like when the movie what was that movie with Johnny Depp in it, where he played the Native American completely for no need, and did a really bad job with no attention paid to cultural significances. Which maybe was better, because then like he didn't offend any one tribe, just all of them. But yeah, we don't do that anymore. or Tropical Thunder. That was Lone Ranger. Thank you. Yeah, that was one example where actually Tropic Thunder, that I thought was freaking hilarious. But I feel like you couldn't even get away with that now. Like it came out whatever 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and already its time has passed. Like that would not happen again. I will give goldfish facts and possibly breed them in the future. Right on. Yeah, goldfish are something that I've never gotten into heavily, but I do see potential now. I don't like a lot of the really heavily like pearl scale morphs, or like the pear body, like or pearl body, whatever you want to call it, the real circular ones. I just think that there's something about it that kind of makes me feel like the fish has been totally neutered or robbed of its like natural essence. And yet at the same time, it's such a symbol of they're pretty cute, like arguably, but I think it's such a symbol of like how far we can take things with domestication, just like the pug or the chihuahua, stuff like that. Yeah, kind of interesting how far you want to take it. 17 years ago, Stephen. What do I always say, Stefan? Dang PH. The dang pH. I'm gonna phone you, Stephen Stevens. There's a that's what I'm gonna name my kid, Stephen Stevenson or Steven Stephenson. I got a race going on over here. An eraser. Always I wanna be with you and make believe with you and live in harmony, harmony, oh love. So look, we got the Snow White and the 4. I got 4 now. I'm happy about that. The Plecos, the Snow White Blue Eye Plecos on the glass. I actually got these at Aquarium Co-op, and they were locally bred by another aquarist from the Seattle club. This Otto has been here for like 3 days. Are you okay, buddy? I guess. So then there's another one of the Snow Whites under there. There's the Snow White here with a full belly of poo. Look at all that poo. Look at that Cinnabon of poo. And then over here, we got another one of the Snow Whites on the eating some of that diatom algae off the intake flow. And then here you can see, you guys recall I put 16 of these reed tetras in here, and I never hardly see them all anymore. They've really taken to hiding ever since the guppies have gotten more boisterous. And I remember I told you guys that I was going to move the guppies and that the guppies weren't going to be the spotlight fish in this tank for much longer, yada yada. Alex made a lie. He made up a lie. I guess I didn't move them yet. So there is still the F2 generation. That's the oldest male we have in this tank still, who is the rainbow snakeskin cross with the all blonde body. And we do have a female that is still an original female. And then we got lots of F2 females, F4 females, and an F3. But then we're all the way up to F5 and 6 now, which is nutty. Because check it out, so here's the oldest male right here. And he's got that real rainbow metallic snakeskin look to him. He's got some red in it, red in his fin, white in his fin. He's got the fin that folds over with color in it. And he lent his color very nicely to the females. Like even the females of that line were full of color. But now we're starting to see the kind of natural green, blue, yellow palette come out that is part of that Endler line. And yet we have a split from it. And on the blonde side of things from Generation 5, we got some of these freaks where some of them came out to very, very, very natural to their wild form Endler that they're crossed into, with the blue and the orange spots and the black dots. Very wild looking, like Endler morph, right? But then the other few that surprised me quite a bit, that didn't change it up all that much, were the ones that kept the blonde gene and these genes. So this is now Gen 6, and it's looking like it's gone back almost fully wild. Whereas Gen 5, we had a few individual males with kind of this cool orange lyre tail coloration. Not a lyre tail, actually. And then the ones with the wild lyre tail look. I don't know, kind of interesting. But this is just the biggest tank I have going right now, community tank wise. There's a bunch of others in here. You can see some of the in-between, the Gen 4 and 5 here again. Here's a Gen 5. And what they still don't, it's not quite wild genes there in that you've got color in the tail. And likewise in the other side of the split, we're starting to get now like spade tails and more color into the tail, and more of that snakeskin body is going away in the males, and we're actually getting some more solid coloration back. So the early ones had snakeskin and stripes, kind of orderly, as did their original father on that line, but we've just let them cross with each other. So some are back crossed farther than others. And the latest round, they're right here. That's Gen 5 of the colorful endlers. And they've got green and blue and yellow with kind of a spade tail of color of sorts. So kind of cool. Anyways, how are we? This tank here is a 60 gallon. It is an old size they don't make anymore. And I can turn this tank on too as well. This tank needs a nice trim out. They both do. They both need a savage trimming. And maybe being smacked with a stick. Sorry if we're not focused on anything yet. Hold up. Hey. So, all right. So then we've got this tank here, way overgrown, plus the duckweed, right? I mean, who wanted that duckweed in here? I sure didn't, but it got here, and it did its thing, and it did its thing, which, like it, hate it, leave it, love it, whatever, did its thing. So now I actually do have, though, a lot of plants like this Rotala, mini Rotala butterfly, and also this Rotala pearl in its forms, where I could trim this, even though it's been growing leggy and at the top. I can trim all of this, and I could then put it aside, and then I could pull out all this val, because this val is getting, I mean, really, I allowed the val to grow in while I was letting the Samelos kind of grow out here, the Paraflora, and also the, hold on, let me scoot aside some stuff so we can see, and also the A-Flame. That was the other star of this tank that I've been happy about, and it's been doing really well in here. In fact, the more tangled it seems to get with other plants and the more kind of shaded it gets, the better it gets health-wise. And all these are just a tangle from the very freaking back of the tank. And they're all the different Rotalas that I had, as well as this, and I'm going to mispronounce it and say the wrong species, Lishmyrna maybe? Lismyra? Stephen P. I'm sure knows what it is. This one here, it looks like a hydrocotyle kind of. It's a chaining vine plant. But anyways, and then you can see more of like the mini butterfly and the purple Vietnam and the that kind of all the different Rotalas that are there. So anyways, there's that, and then there's that hydrocotyle Rosanvig or whatever. I need to brush up on and then also relearn like all my favorite plant names, because like some of these are obviously, they're ingrained, they've been in the hobby a long time, they're in my head, but I want to show you guys the difference. In this tank has not been getting CO2 ferts, and it's been crowded out, and it's got the duckweed on it, right? Well, this is the Ludwigia pontanal, Kabamba pontanal, sorry. Kabamba pontanal, and normally it's a really bright electric plant. Right now it's just kind of like purple and pink and a little bit of orange, a little bit of lime green. Whereas over here in my tank that usually has no CO2 in it, and we just did a big old water change, that's why it's not actually purling. You can see it's actually happening on the glass too. It's just because I did a water change before the start of the show. Up here you can see also there's the quote-unquote purling look. But you can see where my Neocaridina shrimp's hanging out. This stuff has that electric pink look and a nice kind of rainbow vibe when you look down on it, with like peaches and oranges and, greens and all sorts of colors. So that's fun. Let's see here. Alex just medicated my community tank. Oh, that's always stressful. You need therapy every time you do it. Yeah, I hear you. It is not relaxing or soothing. to have to think about how you want to dose a community tank and deal with that. You know, I've gotten pretty reluctant at putting new fish in community tanks. Like, I will try to put them in other tanks first, no matter what. These guys were an exception because I feel like Pleco tend to have kind of their own set of problems that they pass on to other catfish for the most part. Same with like autosynclus. Whereas a tetra or a guppy or any live bear could easily pass on all the normal suspects, all the usual suspects of problems like ick and, you know, velvet or cotton mouth, cotton mouth, cotton hole in the head, stuff like that. You can see my glass cats are still in here too, some of them. I think there's about I want to say about 6 of those in here still, which is pretty good because I think I only bought 8 when I bought those about 2 years ago now. And then, you know, out of the 20 or so bloody red Neocaridina, or Bloody Mary, Neocaridina, I think I've seen about 8 or 9 at once in the last month at most, and that's it. And they mostly hide, especially now with the plecos added. But just with like how dense all this is plant wise, there are levels to this stuff, man. There's Sawasatang down low. There's old coconuts and hides over here, and then there's wood back there as a scaffold for all of this stuff. And then this is all 3 Anubias plants that starts all the way up here. You can see it. It starts there, and it goes all the way around, all the way around, all the way around, up to over here, to over here. And while somebody mentioned, oh, my Anubias has yellow leaves, well, I want to show you something, which is, I mean, so does mine. Look at this Anubias. It's got some yellow leaf showing up for sure, with even brown on it, right? The brown speckle. But look at this. Oh boy, that's really yellow right there. But it's just, this is submerged. That's the only reason why. And then it had this other leaf over it. And basically these two leaves were touching right here. And they basically like burned each other. They kind of blocked each other out. Whereas this leaf that's up front, nice and healthy, yeah, it burned out also where it touched another leaf. But it's pretty healthy. Here's a nice young leaf that's healthy. And yet again, where do we have more yellow? It's just from touching wet other leaves and being out shaded there. Also, we've got new generation of guppies coming in. I haven't pulled any out yet and like kind of examined their markings or anything to decide if I want to keep playing with them or not. Also, you can see we've got still some flame tetras lurking around from 4 years ago. And then, yeah. So, let's see here. What else have we got going? How long do you wait before, you water change? Wait, you guys are talking to each other. I'm gonna ignore that. I'm gonna go to the bottom. And that way I'm still talking to you guys in the chat live. But I don't want to be so far behind as to leave anybody out who already left or ignore folks. So I was just trimming in here too, and I cut all this debris. And this is all, as you can see here, look at this. This started forming, which has never happened in this tank before. And it happened when I had a dead leaf fall back into the tank. But what it is it's cyanobacteria, if you look carefully, that was basically lying in wait on the surface here. If you look really carefully, you can kind of see that super green color. And it is very, very contagious at the surface with this oxygen and the humidity at the surface and also its light source. So it's got the nutrients, the light, everything it needs. Plus it's got like that protein film layer that gets on the top surface. So you definitely, when it's small enough, when it's a small enough outbreak, a lot of times you can just kind of look around, you can just do this and get rid of it. Definitely turning up the flow, or if we like turn this power head up at all and get it going, we can kind of shake things up, kind of get some of that top layer moving. Uh-oh. It was a little clogged, and I think our snail friend took the hardest hit there. But what I wanted to show you yet again, people tell me, Alex, like, how do you not have algae in this tank? And I tell them I have algae all over this tank. And they're like, no, you don't. Well, that's not cyanide back there, by the way. That bright green does look like it could be. It's just a pipe. But over here, I mean, look at that. We got two kinds of serious algae right here. And right next to the pump, actually three kinds of algae. We got the diatomaceous algae, the powder algae. We've got black beard algae. And we've got like a fur or fuzzy hair algae. Oh, and on top of that, we even have some of the tuft algae all growing on that little power head. Now, what does that tell you when you look at this whole picture and we look for algae? Where else are we seeing it? We see it at the tops of the Logonandra. Now, these plants, these can have leaves that are a year old before they start falling apart. And this has had time to grow a fuzzy algae. But when you look down at like the actual rocks and the wood in here that's now kind of becoming visible because I've been clearing and clearing and clearing and cutting and stealing roots and things, you start to see that there's not hardly any algae on this silica-rich mica that's right here, for instance, which I would expect. Also, likewise, oh, there's another shrimp, nice bright. These ones are from Moonlight Aquatics, and they were $2.99 a piece. Use the discount code Fishtory10 if you're at Moonlight Aquatics. He's got some really good priced shrimp that are very, very well cold and graded and brought in from Asia, for sure on the cheap there. But anyways, this is Claudophora that I'm pulling up here. I mean, well, obviously there is some moss there, and there is the Suswassertang, but there is Claudophora algae also growing here. So we have now mentioned 6, 7 types of algae, all growing in this tank. And yeah, here's more Claudophora right here by my scissors. Hold on, let's get some little chunks of it. I hate this stuff. It comes out and it can ruin a tank. But this tank is going on 10 years old, and it hasn't ever had any meaningful reset or anything. And so it's literally had, I think, a bag of aqua soil added, a medium bag of aqua soil added when I moved into this house, so going on 4.5 years ago. And that's it. And then I'll take out, you know, plants. I'll trim leaves here and there. But even so, a lot of the leaves are falling and breaking down, and they're making layers that, yeah, they have some algae and they have kind of their own ecosystem. But as I've said many times before, when you have a bunch of kinds of algae, but none of them are real successful, and you don't have just some like stagnant, monotype climate, like here, this is a recipe for trouble. So let me show you something that I'll make sure that I'm trimming. Here's a piece of that Logonandra, this that I recently split off from the group. And this stuff here, this slimy bacteria biofilm, and basically just root pulp. This stuff right here, while that's not a problem in a small amount, this tank has enough junk. It's got enough leaves that are dead, that break off from plants. It's got enough trimmings that I didn't catch or whatever, that I actually do prune these sort of things. Yeah, I prune these sort of things, and then I cut off the excess. And what happens is you get the new growth spikes on even on a Logonandra. Even though Logonandras don't really like to be moved much at all, this red one, will be okay. I think this is actually the watermelon one, if I recall. But I cut it off that one there. This is the red. This is the watermelon. Anyways, so yeah, if you can't get your hands on Rudolph shrimp, they love eating hair. Yeah, oh yeah, I mean, shrimp and that kind of stuff is super helpful too. I agree. And so are snails. In this tank, I really don't like the snails. I'm kind of always doing battle with the snails. And it's not like a thing that I spend much time with. It's more of like when I see a big, juicy ram's horn snail, what I'll do, like on the glass here, oh, look away, is I'll just cut it in half with my scissors or smush it against the glass and just let it fall. And then what happens is autosynclus, if I had Corydoras, even the guppies, they all love picking at the insides of a snail. And I know these snails are not harboring any sort of harmful anything, any pathogen or whatever. But again, we are going to have an issue with this one particular bacteria if it ever gets out of swing. This cyanobacteria that's growing on the edge of this leaf here, that can grow within a night or two. If I were to leave this light on all night, you could probably guess that there may be a layer of it starting to spread, even just amongst the fact that it was on some of these floating leaves because one of these pieces fell in. That's why I need to remove these trimmings, not leave this here even overnight for a night. Also, I'm realizing I have way more of these young babies still than I thought in the live bear department. There's just a lot of these little guppy endler crosses floating around. But anyways, I don't know what to do with this tank anymore. I really am kind of at a loss where I feel like I should reset it soon. I feel like it is due and it probably needs something else done with it. I mean, the Anubias is monstrous. The hybrid I made, that's the Cophifolia Fraser I mixed with the crazy bunny ears. I'm pretty proud that that still is going strong several years in and that I've grown so much of it. The problem is when you grow it this big and out of the water, it actually doesn't make the rhizome grow. And it kind of puts its energy into the plant. And so what I need is like another light up here, basically, to help it out. Also, I'm so sick of this stuff. The pennywort or Japanese moneywort. Hate this stuff. It makes a mess all of my life. As does, I mean, less so I care. Like, I love Rekia fluid, or the red root floater. I love the, some of the Salvinia is fine. Even like the Wolfia, some of that, or the Isola, some of that is okay. Like the purple Isola that's native to Washington here. That's okay. All easy to manage. The duckweed, though, I just hate it. I hate it. And depending on the tank, I also hate duckweed in combo with like the other plant material because you'll clean up the duckweed and a lot of times you'll have little plant starts and things that you might want to save, like a boose, like a sprout of a boose or a java fern or something like that. And you just have to kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater constantly, which is annoying. There's another one of the red Bloody Mary shrimp, and Bubba Goomp shrimp. That one's still just chilling on the Kabamba, just cleaning up my algae. See, there's another type of algae on the Kabamba if you look carefully. And honestly, I wouldn't sell that cutting of Kabamba from right there to anybody unless I told them, hey, this is not like pristine. These are not pristine like nursery plants. These are like plants that you're going to want to, manage a little bit, take care of a little bit. Might have snail eggs, stuff like that. But for the most part, that's kind of how I roll now. Anyways, I have enough people asking for certain cultivars. Like this red metallic Val is another one that people will tell me that's not what this is on the internet. And I've had like botanists in person at meetings and people like, Tom Barr and stuff, confirm what it is. But this metallic red Val, jungle Val, it gets super red when it's been under a lot of light. But lately I've been kind of clouding out this tank just because I didn't want it to grow so fast. And you can see that in the colors of the plants too. Like none of the pink is in the leaves here on the Hygrophila polysperma sunset. You can see look at them big old Amanos. My tank of an Amano. That wild Amano. And then also the tin Winnie Danias still all swimming around, all colorful and beautiful. Also, I noticed when I turn the light intensity down on the purple aflame sword, it actually gets like these orangish, they might be kind of chocolatey brown to orange, but they're not, they're totally healthy tips on it, which is kind of interesting. I wasn't seeing that at all, even with really high light in CO2. But here you get these kind of, I think it's a deficiency of some sort, whether nutrient and whatnot, or whether it's because of the light. And the fact that I dialed the CO2 way, way back. But like I said, I think the other plan in this tank now is trim back a lot of the valve that didn't need to be here. It was just a placeholder. Now we can plant something nice and low. There's all this aqua soil. There's a year of mulm in here over that now. There's some of these kind of place holding rocks, and then there's this big old, now completely covered in coral moss and Christmas moss, this big wooden piece here that fits together. There's actually one of the yellow Amanos still left from Aquatic Arts, and I was just talking to them, and they were just saying how they're gonna send me more, like 3 more or something like that soon. Because I said how much I love these giant yellow Amanos. They look just like a yellow Neocaridina, yet look at the size of Malawa or Neocaridina wild shrimp. They're super tiny. What surprised me the most about this tank, though, is that these shrimp have been as prolific as they are. There are over 200 of these shrimp easily over 200 in just this tank here. Pretty crazy. Also, guys, I wanted to thank somebody gave out, Johnny, I believe, gave out a membership. So thank you. I appreciate that. And Mike, I think, got the membership. And obviously, Mike, you're someone who's here frequently. And so I'm glad you got it, brother. All right, let's see here. I'm back in the chat, you guys. I'll come down to earth again. Zasnark snakes. I had to sell them. Big Steve, Wicked Freaking Aquatic, Mick M. What's going on, Mick? Good to see you, buddy. Andrea, or Andrea. I never established that. Is it Andrea or Andrea or Andrea? I don't know. Dingbat. Hello, Miss Dingbat. Madam Dingbat. Madame Dingbat. Yeah. All right, let's see here. Alex, maybe can you resurrect the pink tank plant setup? Yeah, you know what? I agree. So it's funny you ask me that, Johnny. You and I, man, we're on like, man, this bandana just did the thing I hate when they do. I just got this bandana out of the laundry and just ironed it and like pressed it so it would stay the way I like it. And just keeps the hair like out of my face is all I really care about, but I still kind of want it down when it's fall and like 50 degrees outside, but I just don't want like, it in my face, yet I don't want to cut my hair. Anyways, long story short, first world problems. White flat hair problems. Let's see here. But yeah, I actually and Justin, hello. Also, Midnight Bloomer, hello. I would say that the recent email I wrote to AFA down in San Francisco, which is all the American distribution for many years of ADA Amano stuff, Aquaflora design, and they did tissue cultures for a while, and then they have done like hardscaping materials and scissors, and then they've worked with other manufacturers like Do Aqua and Mr. Aqua and AquaTop, and there's a number of these places that they've worked with and sold kits from, as well as like Twin Stars, another one that they've promoted pretty heavily. But anyways, they're out of San Francisco. They're probably, arguably, the first I think 2002 or 2003, the first aquascape Japanese or Dutch style aquascaping store devoted to that in America. There have been stores that have planted sections, and there have been stores that you could get a tank or two from overseas or from kind of the rimless modernist world, but you wouldn't really see like a whole store with like the dojo where you do the rocks and plan them out, and there's the raw materials there, and there's lots of fresh plants. And before tissue culture cups were popular, there were lots of nursery tanks and things like that, where almost fish are not the focus. They're kind of a side piece. So you're doing like a few nano fish or like maintenance fish. But in any case, George Lowe is one of the guys who is involved with starting that place, and he is was so kind when I went there and did the tour and video there last or two springs ago, I guess now. Wow, it'll be when will that be? That's a year and a half ago now. But he was, really kind, and he wanted to fly me down when the world's number three aquascaper was at their shop and resetting their front window tank that's 120 gallons. And he wanted me to kind of do like a play-by-play, kind of like a sportscaster, and actually digitally draw over like the live stream, to be like, okay, so these will grow this tall, and here's a picture of, and I was super stoked and everything. I couldn't fly down there at the time because I actually turned it down on a sneaking suspicion that things weren't so hot physically, because I'd just been in town meeting him and all that in June, and then this is July, and we're talking about August like 2nd or something. Well, it happened that like not even 4 days after he had invited me, I ended up in the hospital for the really bad stay where I was on life support for several days and in the ICU for a week. And that was a real bummer to me. I felt like I lost all this momentum. I had 19 cities and fish clubs around the country that I was going to go talk to. I had a total of 11 different talks I was giving, like that I've created and made slideshows for and stuff, but we're just like waiting for the next 6 months or so. That's ahead of the curve getting done. And, some of the talks were pretty similar, but tailored towards like New York City's versus Chicago's history of fish shops and fish hobby, important people and institutions. And all of that just boom came crashing down. And the channel views went boom when I wasn't watching, wasn't maintaining, wasn't answering questions, wasn't posting anything new for I think 3.5 weeks then. And ever since, so now a year and 2 months ago, the channel has been at half the views it used to get, which you guys, the loyal hardcore group of y'all who stayed here and weren't part of this kind of crazy spike that I got, right around 50,000 or 60,000 subs in views, have stayed. There was a period there where each video though was just gold for some reason. Well, I think I figured it out, and not to bore you, but I paid $300. I did it again, even though that's like not anywhere in my head. Like in my head, I was like, I can't spend $300 on anything right now. But I spent $300 on the Google get my channel seen amongst, and then I targeted aquarists in a set group of regions and by what they also watch and what other videos they watched, or if they had already watched one video of mine, I had the ability to say suggest to them this video, and basically like what I thought were 3 videos that were a good choice as like starting points for my channel. So if they like this, then this playlist would play for them, kind of thing. And I paid the money, only $300 for a month of this. And some channels pay thousands, if not tens, hundreds maybe millions, like for Mr. Beast and things like that. But I mean, we're talking, I made only $1,400 from the channel altogether last month, and I paid 300 in advertising. So a good chunk of the channel, like a quarter of the channel's revenue, I put back into advertising last month to see what would happen, just on a whim, just feeling like those numbers are low and like that's a bummer. Well, what do I see is that all of a sudden the people who were already subscribed to me, so many of you who will hear this, were tapped by the Google algorithm to say, hey, you do have a subscriber, or you're already subscribed to a channel that you watch stuff on. Because my subscriber viewing rate in the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, however long I've run the ads now, uh, it's like a direct, like straight up line. It quadrupled. And instead of only 5 to 10% of current subscribers watching my content, it went to like 20 to 30% clicking on thumbnails when shown them. And it's really dirty that Google or YouTube, whoever you want to see, ABC, Alphabet Corporation, whoever you want to blame, just the world of social media and stuff, that they're making it so that now when you say you like something, you want something, you watch it, they try to serve you other stuff that you're going to be more engaged with. And when you're happy sitting watching TV, you're engaged, right? Or if you're happy watching a documentary or a podcast, you may be well engaged, happy, learning, absorbing, chuckling, whatever it may be, driving to work. But they want you on the comment section saying, oh, I hate this. I agree with this. I don't agree with this. Oh, I'm going to share it to social media and show everybody what an idiot so and so is, or how wrong, or how right, or how much I agree. So that's why, like, funny stuff, cat videos, politics, that stuff goes all over the internet, right? But it has a way of not working well with educational stuff and like a core hobby type stuff. And it just shows that, like, when they wall us off from the people who want to see us, when I test, hey guys, do you still want to see me? Like, a lot of people have been messaging me the last 3 weeks, literally over 100, that have said, like, I haven't seen you make a video in years. Like, what happened to your channel? Where did you go? And I mean, one, it says something that they didn't just go to the channel and see that there's been videos every, an average of every 8 days, even the slowest period I've ever had in 9 years. I've been averaging over one video a week, posted, 15, 20-minute video, 30-minute video. Uh, and then I've been averaging 1.5 live streams a week, which, I try to make two, but I've been missing some with the health. But it's very wild when you see that and then you realize, like, wait a minute, those people were all here by choice and now they're gone. Like, do I need to do something dramatic and or melodramatic to get them back? And so that's very frustrating. But it's good to see a lot of people like Sunny G that, like, I used to see a lot, and then, and I get it though. Like, I have plenty of channels where I watch them for a while and then I just slowly stop seeing the videos, or I kind of am in a phase where I'm not watching aquarium stuff and I'm watching, geology stuff, whatever it may be. And that just happens. That's normal. That's a normal cycle of life, right? But it's frustrating when they know that for pay to play, that's when they're gonna cycle people out of the groups. And sometimes I'll see people in, like, you're one of those people, Irish Hamster Man. Hey, it's good to see you. YouTube stopped showing your videos to me. Well, you know what? I want to tell you, Irish Hamster Man, go back and watch some of my actual videos I've posted lately. I'm not going to say my live streams have been phenomenal. That they haven't. But my video editing and the production has gone up quite a bit in, like, the time I research and what I decide to post versus not. There's not much lately fly off the hip, like fish news, like in my pajama type vibe to the channel, like during lockdown. It is much more like, let me spend 2 or 3 weeks researching 2 or 3 things. I'll pick one or two of them and go with those to make videos after that, and so on and so forth. But yeah, there's a video with 8 million subs, not from the band who's made their music. How does that work? Yeah, well, there's lots of really sketchy things that happen in YouTube land. You can also buy. Oh, and see Sideshow. He's talking about me. What's up? What's up? Good to see you. Yes. Um, yeah, I know, and I don't hold it against anybody, but also, um, yeah, Carson Muffin says within the last couple of weeks, my subscription was changed to personal notifications, not all. Couldn't figure out why I was missing all the live streams. Sorry to hear that, Carson. Yeah, I mean, you guys, those of y'all who have come back around this way, yeah, just start seeing your seeing the content if you like it. If you don't like it, if you're overfish, whatever, that's totally fine too. But if you liked me in the past, I'm just saying that I feel like the newest videos I've made have a lot better B-roll. They have a lot more infographics. I've edited a lot more, like contact a breeder, find out the breeder in Asia, what hormone they use to induce spawning, and then find pictures of the fry of the fish, find pictures of the creek that the fish was described in taxonomical journals. Like a lot more in-depth research. I don't know if it shows, but I feel like more proud of it in that way. And so I hope there's a feel to it that's a little different. But especially with like the videos most recently that I did in Myanmar, and about Myanmar rather, I didn't get to go to Myanmar, and about the new Neocaridina shrimp genetic update, because my shrimp genetics video was one of the early ones up on YouTube. Granted, there's websites and Reddit forums and places where people were talking about that, but I couldn't find anything 9 years ago when I was, just kind of starting the channel. So I sat down with every email of every supplier I could find and just said, like, begged, and it was bad. Nobody would tell me anything. Several years passed before I got good information and good genetic actual like printouts that people had paid a lot of money for at the time, of their personal lines and things. And we were able to get some of the info in my like genetics update 2 and 3 for Neocaridina. We were able to pretty much get all of the what came from where, how you create what, and all that all sorted. Well, now we're at the stage where we can figure out things like Riley shrimp and the clear markings, multicolor shrimp like calicos, or the onyx shrimp, or the purple and black morphs they're working on that are what are they calling those ones? Not just Silverado, I think they're calling those. And yeah, hey Johnny, thank you for giving more fish memberships, more members to the channel. Sideshow got it right on. Welcome, come on in. Welcome, come on in. Let's have a party. Let's begin. Barbara Jackson, what's going on? Good to see you. And I'm glad you caught me too. Matt, good to see you. Also gifted a membership. Matt's another one. Love to see you here, buddy. Let's see here. Where am I at now? I've been going down an ancient monoliths rabbit hole. That's pretty interesting. I also love that. Yeah, thanks, Johnny. Really do appreciate it, bro. And you don't always got to do it, but I do love it when you do. I came across your channel by doing a deep dive into planted tanks. I binged a lot of your stuff there for a while, and was about all I saw on my feed. Zenith says, "Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that." Mike says, "Alex has more quality info per minute than most others." I don't know about that in the live streams. I won't claim that in live streams. But I try to have more info per video at least. Early on, I waffle on too long, and I've really gotten better at editing that down. I am someone who repeats themselves, But at the same time, I think a lot of people, even when they are advanced aquarists, you kind of need the like, here's what we're going to talk about. Here's what the video covers. Here is those things in a different way, maybe visually. And then audibly, we can go over that and look at some pretty pictures of something semi-related, as the ending or something like that. I just kind of like that classic style of like, here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you. And here's briefly what I just told you about. I do like that. And then in the other selfish way I do that is because Google then does the automated, it figures out the chapters and stuff for search engine results. Now, I don't know why it does that for some videos and not others, but it does it like beautifully, like chef's kiss well for some and not for others. Some it doesn't do it at all. Um, oh, I like this story, the pyramid that inspired 2001. Oh, yeah, yeah. Let's see here. Following Johnny's advice, slap that like button. Yeah, I would appreciate that. That's very nice. If you want to do so, if you've done it. I made goldfish facts video for you guys. Oh, right on. Well, awesome, Thomas. We'll have to come check out your goldfish facts video. And if you guys haven't been to Thomas's goldfish, go over there. I don't know. Is it good? Is it junk? Like it? Dislike it? I don't know what you're gonna do with him, but I will give him the free advertising, as they say. So now kick me $50, Thomas. I legit feel like I should be earning a college credit instead of headaches trying to take notes and cram all the info. I really appreciate it. Well, that's cool. I mean, that's the thing is we're here to have fun, but I'm also here to take this like dead serious like a job or a research project that I would do when I was in school for archaeology, history, anthropology. Those are the things I went to school for. Those are the things I'm trained in, so I approach things in a methodical way that those are. And that doesn't always transfer to like biology, definitely not good with like the hardcore math and stuff. But I always find it fascinating when the humanities and things cross over. So, for instance, there was a video I saw, and I'm not going to get into this or anything, but it was about a Washington State plan that is already done now. It's already been vindicated, and it is now being implemented in many other states. And what it was we had spent from the 1930s and Dust Bowl era to the 1990s. We got Washington State, you may not know it, is like 30 to 40% desert. And you may think, oh, that's cute. Washington up by the Canadian border has a desert. No, I mean like 120 degrees Fahrenheit are the high temps. 110, 115 are normal temps in summer. And yes, there are areas where we don't have cactus. All we have is maybe a little sagebrush, but there are also like sand dunes and silica and no ground soil. All of it was completely eroded because of the Missoula floods. So it looks like the moon. There are some spots that are that bare in eastern Washington. And a lot of the rivers and things that kind of skirt those areas and go into the foothills and mountains that kind of surround this big basin called the Great Basin or the Columbia Basin, that is the Columbia River Valley and in the middle of this giant desert. Uh, it it all was being talked about in regards to this. They tried to bring the soil back, like the topsoil, and it was getting blown around, and the temperatures were getting hotter by about 10 or 12 degrees Fahrenheit in a 10-year period. And it was because they lost all this like sagebrush and like prairie grass and stuff that would allow for a certain amount of morning dew to be collected and a certain amount of topsoil to stay at least semi-damp, or at least down at the roots it was damp, and drain off into the rivers and things. Well, all that got worked up, blown away, or got overutilized from the 1880s until the 1930s and 20s. And just like in Oklahoma and other places, it turned into a big dust storm, a big sandstorm, and they'd get these just almost biblical, locust infestations and other like rats and pests and things would come and eat all the crops. Um, you know, it was really bad. And they tried all these solutions from big concrete dams to building water reserves and tanks that would like funnel rainwater for like millions and millions and millions, if not billions in today's money, of dollars, trying to figure out how can we get water back into these rivers. And it turned out for a cost adjusted for inflation in the study, for $2,800, they could get two beavers. They could get a pair of beavers and throw them in an existing willow, birch, beech, and poplar alder grove in the Methow Valley in Okanagan Valley over in Eastern Washington, and introduce that to rivers that would almost dry up by the end of summer, that used to be at least 10 feet deep and 100 yards across and going over gravel or sandy bottom, had turned to basically this hard compact clay that was then dry and exposed, and there was a lot of irrigation and stuff like that too. But I was just gonna say that they introduced these beavers, and it was the beavers that then chomped down some trees, reflooded areas that hadn't been flooded in a long time. And no, the farmers didn't get water for 8 or 6 years, or however long each pair of beaver needed for its pond. But what happened all along the river valleys is it came back to life. It turned out that these beaver ponds were the key instead of the exact opposite: irrigation, dams, dikes, levees, the stuff that they would build, and wall off sections and play with, flooding fields for rice. They tried lots of different things in Washington for different crops. And with the mountains, they assume, oh, it's endless rainfall, right? Who cares? But the ground got so dry that it wouldn't take on new water for at a certain point, and that it did that in Texas too. And then when it floods, it turns into flash flooding, and it's very, very destructive and bad. But yeah, they do that with beavers now all across the country because it's so dang effective. It's so cheap, and it prevents everything from forest fires being more damaging to underbrush control. And yeah, there's some cattle land and stuff that can get damaged, and there are issues with it, of course. But what blew me away was the algorithm and people in their echo silos or their echo chamber of making this video. This video was about beavers saving Washington State or something. The channel had 2,000 subscribers. The channel is only like 6 months old, and it was clearly an AI overdubbed video. It was good info, but it was AI made. And yet there were something like 70,000 comments and 280,000 views in 4 days on this brand new channel, tiny video, this 17-minute or 18-minute video. And it was because